Welcome to the Toffee Blues, where Terry, Owen and I are going to bring you another player performance review for this season's first team squad. And our next review will be on the ever-divisive figure of Morgan Schneiderlin. Schneiderlin's been at Everton for over 3 years, and it's safe to say we haven't seen his best. A player who's constantly in and out of the team and blowing hot and cold, and he can often be one of the main Everton scapegoats. But to what extent is that warranted? So we'll start with you on this one, Owen. How do you think Schneiderlin has performed this season when he has played?
Yeah, I quite like Morgan Schneiderlin as an unpopular opinion in the sense that I don't think he is an amazing player to have in a mobile all functioning midfield. But I think to put him in front of the back four to do his job, to recycle the ball, I feel like he's one of our most useful midfield players in doing that. He hasn't got all the technical prowess of other players in the league, but if you give him a role, I feel like he does it. I feel in a way that he gets quite a tough rap by Evertonians because he's not this crazy screaming midfielder that gets the club with whatever does that mean. But I think if you put him next to someone like Gylfi Sigurdsson, I'm much more confident with Morgan Schneiderlin as a whole midfielder than I am with Gylfi Sigurdsson in that team, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with that, and I think Schneiderlin is more suited to the formation we're using now than Sigurdsson is, in my opinion. I mean, what's your stance on it, Terry?
It's just, what can you say? It's Schneiderlin, isn't it? He's terrible for most of the season, and then he has the odd few good games. And it often coincides with a new manager coming in, and then you get people going, you know what, maybe it's worth keeping him around, or he's all right to cover. I think he's helped a lot by the fact that the rest of the central midfielders don't pull up trees either. He can't be seen as the worst midfielder at the club when he's sharing the same, position as Gylfi Sigurdsson, who's even worse than he is. But yeah, I've got no time for Schneiderlin. I think he's a gutless player. I don't think he's got anything about him for a hard graft, for a hard fight. He goes missing when he needs to stand up and be countered. I mean, the FA Cup derby this year, the Schneiderlin and Sigurdsson after that, for me, should never have played for the club again. They were that bad. I think, I forget which one it was, maybe even been both. No successful tackles from the two of them. It's all right, they might not be suited to playing in a 4-4-2, but to not put a tackle in against Liverpool's under 23s, come on now.
Exactly.
Sorry, go on.
He built up to Curtis Jones's goal. Actually, was Curtis Jones literally shoulder barging Schneiderlin away, and Schneiderlin just let him and just went to the floor. And I think that kind of sums it up, I think.
He's a lazy, disinterested player who doesn't bother him if Everton get beat, doesn't bother him if he plays poorly. The goal, you can think of goals he's cost us again. He loses his man strolling against the Southampton away game. They go, I forget which goal. What was the result for the West Southampton again? But basically one of the goals.
We won 2-1, I think. Was this season?
Yeah, the goal, yeah. I think their only goal, but if it wasn't their only one, it was
their
one
only
of their
shot.
goals. Yeah, he basically is just caught strolling while the player goes past him like he's not there to get the assist. He's part of the Deadwoods. It's amazing he's been around this long. I think the only reason he's still here is because no one will take the wages off us. He'll be another one of the infamous will be released at the end of the contract bunch. There's worse players than him, who don't, shouldn't or don't get a game, like Martina and what have you. But of the players who play, he's one of the very worst.
I think it's also, I think that's the problem with his sort of commitment is a real thing that you do have to question. And one thing this might be a bit of a controversial take, I might be taking it a bit too far here, but you talk about him going missing when the going gets tough. I've found in games where there's a lot resting on him, he gets himself sent off, and I feel like he wants to get out the game. Sometimes I feel like he's genuinely down in tools. the opening day of this season against Crystal Palace, he got himself sent off. And I just think it always seems to be when there's a lot resting on him and he can't hack it, and when the tides may be against us, he always seem to end up getting himself sent off. And I don't know whether there's something in that, whether he wants to, like, whether he doesn't want to be on the pitch when the going gets tough or something. I don't know, but given what we've seen of him, and like we say, these performances that we've seen where he just downs tools when he's on the pitch, would that even be a surprise?
He did it against Leon, didn't he, a few years ago? Sorry.
That's what I also had in mind.
We've had a couple of players like that. Ashley Williams used to deliberately get himself sent off when he wasn't keeping up with the game.
Yeah. I do think that, in a way, to bring it back around, that Morgan Schneiderlin's very much a product of Ronald Koeman's Everton. Very disinterested, very aloof. But I do think with Schneiderlin, if you put him in a team, he can perform. We've seen enough of Morgan Schneiderlin in fits and starts. I think that second half of the 2016-17 season, where you put him in a team, you give him a role, and he's pretty good at it. It's just when you add other stuff on top of that, and then he does, like you do say, he does throw these occasional, I can't be bothered playing for Everton performances. It puts off a lot of people. Whereas if he just did that 6 out of 10 every week, I feel like he'd get a lot more of a better time of things with the Everton fans than he currently does, with his one good performance doing that role, and then the other week, like you see, like there was another game this season when we played Norwich at home, and he was absolutely terrible.
Everybody was terrible, to be fair.
Yeah, I know, but when you talk about that Liverpool game, they should never have played. They should never have played after that Norwich game. They were both horrendous. But Schneiderlin, unlike Sigurdsson, I do feel always surprises you with a performance. I think maybe Watford away, the second half, and Newcastle at home. I think he does come up with one of them performances that normally around just before the summer transfer window that makes people go, he should stay another year. But I think it has come to a point now where he should be moved on. Yeah. I don't hate him. I feel like there can be a role for him for some teams. I just don't think, like we were talking about Sam Allardyce before, he's just not an Everton player.
I think what you nailed it really when you said before. He surprises us with a good performance, and I think that's the real problem, is that we've got that used to him being rubbish. We're surprised when he plays well, and I think when you're saying that about a player, they're clearly not cutting the mustard at the club, and I think you said yourself that he needs to be moved on, and I'll agree with you on that. I think, Terry, judging by what you've said so far, you probably agree with that too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
He's one of those kind of players, and it's one of those we've spoken about other players already, the likes of Moise Keane and Alex Iwobi and players like that we've already done reviews on, and he's just not that interesting a player to sort of look into. I mean, like you say, he's supposed to have that role where he screens the defence, but do we really have that role in a 4-4-2?
No.
I don't know. A better footballer could do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean...
Just a gay could have done it. I know he's not the same player, but it's not to say 4-4-2 prohibits having a screening player, but he's not the worst at the club, and that. But the 4-4-2 has found out a lot of our central midfielders.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think any of the central midfielders we've got at present suit the system, to be honest with you. Maybe Andre Gomez, but...
No, not defensively.
No, even then,
no.
I would say he's a...
Yeah, you just got to hope Gbamin does. Don't know at this point, but like that's what we're sort of hoping on, that at least one of them will be a good fit for it. But at the minute, it's just varying levels of discomfort. Some of them really can't do it, like Sigurdsson, and some of them are okay, but not the best, like Gomez in the 4-4-2.
Yeah, I think Gomez will maybe. Hopefully, we haven't. It's just because we haven't seen Gomez back to his best, given he was recovering from a bad injury. So we haven't seen just yet what Andre Gomes could offer in the centre of midfield, but it's just difficult when you look at the alternatives. Every time you say, "Oh, drop Schneiderlin, he's rubbish," what are you replacing him with? Tom Davies, who's not played well this season, and you've got the likes of Fabian Delph. Who's the best of the bad bunch, really, and is that the point you were kind of trying to make about Schneiderlin, Owen, before?
Yeah, I think if you separate them all as non-Everton players and to put them in a team for a role, I think out of the bad bunch, I think Schneiderlin's the best.
That's a damning indictment of Everton's midfield, if ever there was one, isn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't anger me as much as someone like Fabian Delph does, who's been here 5 minutes and thinks he calls the shots. But equally, yeah, I don't have no connection with him. I'm just looking at him from the outside, what I think of him.
But certainly, I think we'll move. That's obviously for another day, the Fabian Delph review. But on the Morgan Schneiderlin review, we'll probably leave it at that because, like you say, he hasn't really played much in terms of game time this season. He's not really made much of an impact on the season apart from the red card on the opening day. So yeah, we'll end with a score like we did before. What would be your score out of 10, Owen, for Morgan Schneiderlin?
4.
4.
I feel like that it would have been like a 2 win for them, that Watford and Newcastle performance before his injury. I thought that's bumped him up a bit because I thought, to be fair, you are pretty good at what you do if you play like that. But there's been so many other terrible performances that I can't look past to give him any higher than a 4.
Terry?
1.
1.
And that's because only one player gets a 0, and you can guess who that is. But he's one rung above the worst player, so he's a 1 for me. He's had the odd performance where he's been okay, and I just can't get past the Norwich game, the Liverpool away game in the FA Cup. Shambles.
I'll go somewhere down the middle, and I'm going to give him his old squad number, the number 2. And yeah, again, I'm in that position with Terry. I can't forgive him for Derby. I think he was utterly pathetic in that game. And I mean, it was probably a good opportunity for us, as good as any, to win a game at Anfield and, end that sort of duck that we've got. And he just wasn't interested at all, and to not be interested in Merseyside Derby, I think that's a damning indictment of any player who pulls on the Everton shirt. And this is just the latest in a long line of debacles, like you say, the Lyon game and games where how long it's been going on, these kind of incidents where he just hasn't looked interested in games, down in tools. And when you do that, you can't really be expecting more than a 2. So there you go. I think I'm being generous there. I'll give, obviously it's his old squad number, which I despise the fact that he wore that number. And to be honest, I'm not too happy that he's still playing for the club regardless of what number he wears. But there you have it, a number 2 out of 10 for me as well. So a bit of a spread in terms of the numbers there, but clearly none of us were particularly pleased with what we've seen from Morgan Schneiderlin this season, and that seems to be the verdict in general. As we come to the end of the Schneiderlin performance review, I think it's one of those where we've got to ask the big question before we finish up. What do we do with him? Do we move him on? What do we move him on for? Loan? Free? Do we get any money for him?
Move him on if you can. It's going to be hard because of his wages. There's been rumours that he's going for as little as 5 million, or was that Sigurdsson? I don't know. But
Schneiderlin, that was Schneiderlin for 5 million, and I'll be honest, I'll absolutely bite your hand off if someone comes in with that.
For the wages he's on, I think that stops a lot of clubs even before the coronavirus, crisis. I think that his wages were stopping any clubs he would improve from going in for him. So I think at this point he's likely to get another join the list of the army of players we've got who are loaned out for their final year, just to get them out the door and ease the wages at least a little bit, and then released after that. I think that's the best we can hope for.
I think that's got to be the aim, really. And like you say, I don't know how many teams would be willing to pay real money for Morgan Schneiderlin. I mean, at this stage, I think we should be accepting monopoly money for him. But
I feel like if anyone goes to buy him, we all know it will be West Ham with the $5 million on deadline day for Schneiderlin, when Mark Noble finally hangs his boots up at the age of 93.
I was actually going to ask you that question before we wrapped up. Which team do you think he'd end up going to? I think if he doesn't stay in, there's Premier League teams like maybe a West Ham or someone even lower down the league, I think, who could use him and get more out of him. But is there anywhere else you can think of?
Marseille, maybe in France, somewhere like that.
Newcastle, if they don't get taken over. Obviously, if they do get taken over, there's no way. But if they don't and they're still with Steve Bruce, Mike Ashley, then he might suit them if they lose Matty stuff.
Maybe, yeah. West Ham, I would say.
No, they've got to buy Sigurdsson.
Yeah. Well, either way, I think there's a lot of dead wood to be shifted, and this jury, if you like, suggests that Morgan Schneiderlin should be one of them. So there you have it, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, again, drop us a comment on the video. Let us know what you think of Schneiderlin, how he's performed this season, and in general over his 3 years, I guess. Where is he strong? There's plenty of room for improvement, clearly. What do you think he needs to improve on? Let us know, and give us a like and a subscribe as well. And thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.